Do 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 do. Hi. I would ask that you ignore the fact that I'm bald. Well, you don't have to. I'm just being weird, but so today we are going to talk about having OCD and how it makes us take things so damn seriously. It's a problem, and I'm going to talk about how I cope with it. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Everything should be all set up like it should be. I have a new camera. It's not really new. It's technically an old camera. It is a DSLR. This is the same one I used for my Asperger's documentary, and I'm able to use it as a webcam now. So hopefully it looks good. I don't know if it affects like the actual stream, if it's gonna like make it lag. Probably not. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna make sure that my live stream is actually working before I get into it, so I don't want to like, waste my time. So, oh wow, I'm live. Yay. Let's see how it looks. Wow, it looks good. It's working. Hello, ferret with a top hat. Mike the Psych. Hello, how are you? I have a question for someone, and I have to send a Discord message. Because there's someone that I have in mind that I want to like, that I might mention, because they are a part of my how I also cope with my brain as well. So da 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 da. I also have a very special guest today, named Gluten-Free Lasagna, because I didn't eat anything before I went live. So I will mute whenever I'm munching on this. But yes, hello, Revol. How are you doing? Oh, yay! Now it looks like the chats are actually showing up on the screen. That's great. I'm gonna scooch this way to save some room for the chat, I guess. Although I kind of feel like with the way that I'm positioned, I should probably have the chat on the other side. I might just do that. Just boom. And then I might as well grab, here's my events list. I'll just switch everything around because I can. Let's just do this. It'll be fine. I'm curious how many of you have OCD. And you don't have to get into specifics, but like, does it suck? Does it suck for you? Because it sucks for me. I hate it. It's annoying. Like a lot of people will crawl on the internet will probably tell you who have OCD. It's not just like, it's not just like this cutesy thing where it's like, oh, I just like everything really organized, and oh, I'm so OCD because all my whole closet is color coded or something. Okay, speaking of OCD, now I'm like not sure where to put the chat. I'm like, where do I put the chat? Ah, like there's no good place to put it. Like it's probably because I'm so close to just like the middle of the screen. So whatever. I'm gonna take a munch of my food. Okay, like I feel self-conscious. I don't usually like actually eat in front of other people, like especially not on like a live stream. Hi. So OCD to me is basically this all-encompassing thing. It's sort of just like the way my brain is wired, and it's like a certain level of intensity. Like my brain puts a lot of intensity and importance on things that shouldn't be that important, or at least shouldn't be as important as my brain makes it out to be. And it can be anything from like it can be anything actually. I know that some people have like really specific uh, themes to their OCD, and mine sometimes does. It kind of like changes over the years. Um, like definitely, I've noticed that when when elections are going on, like election years trigger like political OCD for me, where I can't shut off my brain. It keeps thinking about politics and won't shut up. And like and I mean like disproportionate level of thinking about it. Most people during election years do think about politics, but my brain would just like take it to an extreme and feel intense amounts of anxiety, and it won't stop talking. Um, and then like also like what tends to happen is if like I get involved in discourse on politics, especially on the internet, that just makes everything so much worse, because one thing my brain does not like is very, how do I put it, very non-nuanced black and white thinking, which sounds funny coming from someone who's autistic. You know, we're kind of supposedly known for having black and white thinking, though I don't think that's, you know, entirely true. I think it's that neurotypicals look at autistic people not understanding our limitations and look at us and say, wow, they're really rigid about this or that because we have to be, because of like, oh, this is my strict limitation. I literally cannot. So this is different than that kind of black and white. This is more like in conversations on literally anything. When people are using like, I guess I can thank the fact that I've deconverted from the religion I grew up with for this, like, and kind of retaught myself how to do critical thinking. But like, I'm aware of like the different logical fallacies and stuff, and when people are like using them in arguments, it drives me nuts. And like, I feel like there's a lot of crossover there, like between my OCD and my PTSD, because I also have some PTSD around my brain. I also have PTSD around like religion, specifically like fundamentalist, like extreme religion, like cults and stuff like that. Like because I grew up with that, I can notice like aspects of it even in people's like interactions. Like I'll be like, oh, that interaction reminds me of how people in cults talk and stuff like that, and that kind of like, it gives me like a PTSD trigger and an OCD trigger. So then it's like taking that thing that triggers me, and then the OCD constantly focuses on it, and it causes anxiety, and then I feel this need to seek reassurance about it and like read about that exact really, really, really specific experience that I'm having on the internet. Like Googling is actually one of my compulsions. I'll like Google, like, I'll be like, let's say someone's just being unbearable on the internet, and like my brain will take that, and sometimes it'll turn that into like a intrusive thought that I will then Google. And some of them I don't like, a lot of them. That's kind of the whole point of intrusive thoughts. Usually they don't align with what you actually think are your morals and stuff. For me, like sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just intensifying my thought or being overly judgmental when I'm like not normally a judgmental person. I'll be like, oh, person A said this thing that had this logical fallacy, therefore everyone in this category of person A is this way. And then I'll be like, I just want to like reassure the thought one way or another. Like either I don't like the thought and I want the internet to convince me otherwise, because it's a judgmental thought. It's not great. Or I want to follow the judgmental path and be like, yeah, actually everyone in this person A group is this way. And then it's like, these are just really stupid little rabbit trails that don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but they cause me great anxiety. And I have to, in order to deal with it, I can't engage with it. I can't follow either of those paths or any other path that leads to like trying to argue with the thought or trying to confirm the thought or anything like that. That's kind of usually the best approach to OCD, is you're not supposed to feed the thoughts, even though your brain's telling you to, even though you get like maybe a little bit of like even if you might get like some level of relief from following those compulsions and carrying out the compulsions, it's not worth it in the end, because it can make anxiety worse. So you're not supposed to engage with it. So one way that I deal with it, because I have realized, oh, there's actually a pattern here. And the pattern is that my brain is assigning and like, I guess a disproportionately high amount of importance to these thoughts and high amount of intensity to these thoughts. Like, these are the most important thing right now, and I need to drop everything I'm doing to try and engage with this. So upon realizing that this was sort of a brain taking crap too seriously problem, I decided maybe I should use humor to deal with it. And this wasn't like a specific moment that I decided this. This is just like over time. This is just the one thing that I've noticed that's really, really good at getting me out of it. It just like derails the OCD train when I just like throw something outlandish in there that makes me laugh, or like look at it and be like, you know, this is stupid. What am I doing? Like, this is like trying to argue with, well, I mean, this was part of the scenarios I was describing, but it's basically trying to argue with trolls online and stuff. It's like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with my time? Like, I do not get joy out of this. Why do I do it? All right, I'm going to read what you just said. Ferret. The idea that we are not our thoughts is an idea taught in Buddhist meditation that helped me with some OCD. In meditation, you can see the distance between you and your thoughts. Seeing it helps. Yes. Obvious logic doesn't beat OCD. Yes. So, like, one thing that can be kind of dangerous, I use Reddit a lot for anything, just because when you Google search something, like, very often the top results are just gonna all be people trying to sell you things. It used to be useful. Google used to be useful, but now I type Reddit after most of my searches because I'm like, I just want to ask real people like really specific questions, and I know that like some random articles trying to sell me, I don't know, like a new camera or something, that's not going to tell me anything. It's going to just lead me into trying to buy whatever their product is. So like something I've noticed is if you were to go to like any other part of Reddit that's not aware of OCD and how OCD works, if I were to try to go and post questions there, I don't actually really post on Reddit, but like if I were to go to places on Reddit to answer a question in my brain that is coming from OCD, a lot of the stuff that I would find is like, it is just using obvious logic from other people to try to solve this problem in my brain. That just feeds it. So I can imagine if I was posting my thoughts in any Reddit thing, people would be trying to actually like reassure me and stuff, that's what like most people would do, or they would try to like provide some logical thing in response. But if I go to an OCD section of Reddit where it's like people with OCD who are talking about, hey, I'm having specific thoughts judging this huge group of people, or I'm having specific thoughts that are like inappropriate in this way or this way. Because a lot of the thoughts might be like inappropriate in some way, and like I don't want to get into like specific ones. You can do research on OCD and like all the crazy, horrible, intrusive thoughts people can have. Just want to emphasize a lot of these thoughts do not align with who you are as a person and what you actually want. It's just they pop up in your brain. They are unwanted, hence intrusive. So people will post in like these OCD kind of Reddit things, and they'll just say, "Hey, I'm dealing with thoughts about this one specific thing, and it's like really stressing me out, and I keep thinking this and this." And a lot of the people will respond by not feeding into the thought process. They'll just be like, they might like provide validation in a different way, like, "Oh man, I deal with that too, and it really sucks." And if the person's open to advice, maybe just be like, "Oh, here's how I deal with it. Like, you know, go get a snack." What was that saying? Ferret, the drink a 7, eat a moon pie, drink a 7-Up. like like a lot of people who are aware of how OCD works can have really helpful responses where they're not feeding the whole thought process. So Reddit is better than Twitter. I agree, Revolt. Mike the Psych said, "My girlfriend left me because she couldn't handle my OCD, so I told her to close the door 5 times on the way out." I'm really lucky in that my compulsions don't always involve other people. Sometimes they would. Sometimes it would be like me wanting reassurance, asking like, "Am I a bad person?" And I want someone to reassure me that I'm not a bad person. But like, that doesn't always work. Now sometimes I can ask that now without it feeding my OCD, because I recognize when it's OCD and when it's not generally. But there are people who their OCD like demands that other people be involved somehow in their compulsions. It's like they want everyone in their household to like, sanitize every doorknob after they touch it and stuff like that. And that would be kind of hell, I think, to live with. And I mean, I'm biased. I would feel probably more bad for the person with OCD, but like, it can really fuck up relationships sometimes if it's not really under control. So, oh, Ferret says, "Eat a moon pie, drink a 7-Up, quit murdering people." Sheriff from somewhere near Miami. Wait, where is this from something? Because I've heard you say it before, and I don't know if it's like, is it from a movie? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick breather and eat some of my food away from the camera because I feel self-conscious eating it from people. It's Cammy. Yeah, you have OCD and you feel the pain of it every day. Yes, I relate. So I'm gonna eat some of my food and I'll be back. Oh, I want to address what Ferret just said first. What people who don't know what OCD is, they think you're fighting an urge to stab someone. That's not what's happening at all. It's an overreaction and repulsion to a vivid or intense thought. Now, what's really interesting is some of the intrusive thoughts can feel like an urge or feel like an impulse, if that makes sense. Like sometimes it's just a feeling. People think in different ways. They can think in words, they can think in feelings, they can think in pictures, all that stuff. Oh, why did it filter it out? You might have to reword it. But like, it's like I remember when excuse me. There's a category of OCD called harm OCD, and I'm lucky that I haven't had this specific thing really bad, but like I think to some degree, like even people with OCD can experience this like once or twice in their life, or they're like driving in a car and they're just like randomly thinking to themselves, what would happen if I just like crashed my car into this pole or something? And then most people would just brush it aside, like, oh, that's just a silly thought, like why whatever, just move on with their day. OCD would not let go of that, but if you don't have OCD, most people just, yeah. And then I remember there was this one time, one of my houses that I lived in had like a catwalk, and it was like, you know, this whole open concept living room type thing, and it had like a catwalk. So if you want to, like, when you go upstairs, you can walk across the catwalk, you can look down into the living room. I've had like a thought, and this freaked me out because so you guys probably remember Sammy, my dog. I love my dog. He's the best ever. Well, he's gone now, but like I sometimes talk about people and things that have passed as if they are still alive. Anyway, I remember this one time that I think I was picking up Sammy to like carry him somewhere, and I was walking across the catwalk, and I had this, not a thought, it was like it felt like just a feeling. I wouldn't say it's an urge, but like it's just like this feeling, like what if I like threw Sammy over the catwalk? And I'm like, no, like hell no, I wouldn't do that. That always freaks me out. So like I would like avoid like carrying precious items or dogs or anything near like high up places, because I don't like that thought. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. It's just like that could be a compulsion in of itself, just avoiding the thing that triggered the thought. Like, that wasn't pleasant, I don't want to think that again. Yeah, people without OCD have these thoughts too. They just don't get stuck on them, and that's the thing. Like, people without OCD can have these as well. The difference is that the person with OCD, the amount that their brain latches onto it and the amount of anxiety they feel about it is like crippling. So it's very fun. I will be right back. I'm gonna go eat, and we can continue the conversation when I get back. And in the meantime, I have a job for all of you. I want you to trying to think of something fun. I want you to make up a story about an inanimate object that came to life and went on an adventure. That's all. Just while I'm gone for a brief time. So yes. Boop. And let me do. Boop. Hi. I have Blahaj. Where is it? There, should turn it off. Hi. I have no idea where to put this. I keep doing that. Okay. So, well, I tend to lean forward. Maybe I should just, I don't know where to put the chat. Okay. Yes, this is cute. So, I'm gonna go ahead and turn music off. So, what I didn't talk about much yet is how I actually use humor to cope with OCD. I have a fizzy. Anyway, my brain. Okay, so I'm going to use an example. I have a friend. I'm gonna call him Cheese Man. So my OCD gets worse when I'm alone, and I've been living alone. So I call this friend on a pretty much daily basis, if not near daily basis. And Cheese Man is also disabled, just like I am. So, you know, we both have a lot of time on our hands. We both live alone. We both are bored as heck. And we both have, like, you know, crippling existential pain a lot of the time. So we kind of, like, just stay on call for a while, a couple, you know, maybe once or twice a day. Just to be, like, distraction for each other and to joke around and to be weird. And the majority of our conversations, honestly, like, aren't even really substantial. Like, we will have deep conversations about different things. You know, we have some things in common that we like a lot, and we'll talk about all kinds of stuff. But, like, most of the time, like, our baseline is just existing on call and saying the weirdest shit. Like, so some of which I can't say on YouTube because it's just literally nonsense that would get me demonetized. Like the D word, like, yeah, you know, the eggplant. Like, I will call him up, and phone will ring, and he'll pick up, and I might have to use, like, different words, but, like, I'll just say basically the equivalent of eggplant. Like, I'll just say that, like, D, like that. I guess it's sort of like two straight dude friends, the way they might talk. Like, it's just really ridiculous stuff. And we'll have, like, the weirdest verbal stems as well. Like, I think that's why a lot of my verbal stems are really silly. Like, I like waffles and stuff. It's just, like, I like to keep it, like, lighthearted because, you know, everything within is not super lighthearted. And so, yeah. Although, like, you know, things within are lighthearted too. It's just, like, on a conscious level, at least, like, I try to keep it, you know, kind of chill and lighthearted and fun, but, like, there's always this underlying, like, kind of buzz in the back of my brain that's like, existential pain, or, like, I don't want to think about anything. I wish I could give more specific examples of our humor but they're, like, a lot of them are just inappropriate. So, like just going off the walls crazy stuff. But yeah, it does help a lot for me to just do that. So, like, I don't know if I'm gonna look up, there's a really specific word that we use that, like, I want to actually say, but I have to see if it's in, like, the YouTube demonetized words. It is a really specific word, so it might not be. But we'll see. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's fine. So like, why Mike the Psych? Why? Okay. So, me and Cheese Man have a really specific word for when we are being lighthearted and stupid. And we call it bungusing. Bungusing basically meaning, well, bungus is a word for a hole of a particular kind, one that everyone has on their behind. So, but we also use that term to just say, I'm fine with your jokes, Mike. I was kidding. It's sort of like the whole, like, when someone's when someone's doing like puns and stuff, and everyone's just like, oh man. Okay, so we call our humorous times bungusing, and sometimes we'll like get on a topic that's like really interesting but might be like slightly triggering or stressful in some way, or just too intense for one of our brains that day, and one of us will just say, I need to bungus. And then we'll be like, all right, switching off serious mode and go into bungus mode. And we just like go, ah! And like make the stupidest noises. And we say the stupidest things and be like, I was an old man once and I decided to trip down the stairs. And at the bottom of the stairs, I found a squirrel. That's a more appropriate example of our humor. Like I said, a lot of it's just like, just D jokes and, you know, inappropriate things. It's great. Lots of phalluses involved, but, essentially. But it's a good way to just like, sort of, I guess, what's the word? It kind of like, I can't think of, there's a specific word I'm thinking of. Well, what I have in the title, at least, it disarms the OCD, it disarms the anxiety. There was some other word I was thinking of. I couldn't think of it. I don't know what it was, but, yeah. So lots of screeching. I'll be like, cheese man, screm. Sometimes I'll call him up and I'll just be like screaming into the phone, like first, just as a greeting. Anyway, so that's pretty much how I deal with OCD. Stepping back, realizing that I'm being intense is very much a thing that has to happen first, and then, you know, try and shake it off with some silly, and then going and doing something else. Sometimes I get stuck in one of those steps. Like, sometimes I'll step back and realize I'm being intense, but then, like, not really be sure what to do about it. Okay, my fun light that I had on just turned off. I'll, like, not be sure what to do about it, because, like, my brain is so fried, like, it just wouldn't remember, like, my coping mechanisms. Or I will step back and be able to be humorous, but then, like, be unable to, like, go do something else or focus on something else. Instead, I'm just focused on nothing, or I'm just focused on, like, something silly. It sucks if I have executive dysfunction, which, you know, is kind of inherent to autism and ADHD and even anxiety and OCD and stuff, and PTSD. All the laundry lists of things. If I'm having executive dysfunction, I would be very limited in what I can use to distract myself. I'm actually kind of jealous of a lot of other autistic people who are gamers who, like, play video games to actually unwind and relax, because, like, for me, video games can be overstimulating. Like, I have to have a set number of energy points to be able to go and do that. And if I don't have that, then I kind of just would sit there and stare at a wall. So, which is like the perfect recipe for disaster in OCD. Like, one of the most common pieces of advice that I have heard regarding anxiety, and I don't know for OCD specifically, but or not one of the most common, but one of the best pieces of advice I've heard for anxiety specifically is don't be idle. Don't let yourself be idle. Like, be doing something. Don't just sit there and do nothing. Don't like scroll on your phone. Don't do mindless things. Like, be very intentional with your time and stuff. And I really struggle with that because I need executive functioning to go and like actually do a thing, even if it's like a fun hobby, even if it's a video game. A lot of stuff that I do for fun is like highly, like the stuff I found that I find really easy that I do for fun, tends to just trigger my OCD more, like, or at least stress me out in some way, or feed that level of intensity, like going on YouTube and watching like video essays about really interesting but probably depressing topics. I mean, you know, kind of along the lines of my video that I made on disability and like all the rules around being on disability benefits. Like that was right up my alley. Like that's stuff I'm interested in. But man, is it depressing. That doesn't help OCD. Not at all. That's not lighthearted. I don't have a whole lot lighthearted things to do. And a lot of them require some level of energy. I think that one thing I'm trying to get back into is writing my book, Veil. It's my fantasy novel series. It's only supposed to be 2 books, but I have a huge passion for it. I've had a huge passion for it for the last like 10, 15 years. It's taken me forever to write it because I need executive functioning to write it. Luckily, I'm on ADHD meds now, and I can actually think straight, and I can focus, and I can sit down, and I can actually write. So that, it's so amazing when you have executive functioning. So that's something I'm trying to get into. But yeah, me and my friend Cheeseman, we got the same issue where, like, we don't have a whole lot of actually relaxing hobbies. Like, a lot of them are, like, highly intellectual or, like, intense in some way. And it can perpetually keep us in this state of, like, intensity that we really don't need to be in on a daily basis. You know, most people are just going about their lives, going to work, going home and watching sports and drinking beer and like, oh, to be a normie. To be slightly more stupid would be bliss. So Revolt, my writing's been going pretty good. I like, so here's the tough thing. I'm not able to write a single word of the actual books until I have the whole thing plotted out because it's really, really very convoluted. It's like Tolkien levels complicated. So I have to make sure that I have 100% continuity before I like go in and actually write the thing. So right now I have majority of book 1 plotted out and like a rough outline of book 2 plotted out. So I haven't gotten to the actual writing part yet, but I'm getting closer. So yay. I have no specific timeline for this because if I give myself a specific timeline, I'm going to stress myself out. So anyway, I think that pretty much covers this topic. So yeah, I think my top 3 steps that I would recommend if you have OCD when this might take practice, so don't beat yourself up if it's not something you can do right away. First of all, recognize when you are having OCD, like OCD triggers. When a thought is like an intrusive thought versus like just a regular thought. This is the part that might take a lot of practice. You might need to like go through like therapy or a lot of self-reflection to reach this point. But yeah, so maybe let's take that one step back and say pay attention to your thoughts and try to identify which ones are OCD and which ones are like your genuine thoughts. Like, or even if you can't, that might actually bring up a whole nother OCD thought process. Maybe instead of that, just look at like how much anxiety specific thoughts are giving you. The ones that are giving you the most anxiety, hone in on those. And try and notice patterns. If you're seeing like, you get anxious every time you think about this one thing. So there we go. So notice the OCD trigger, the OCD thought. And number 2 is, number 1 was notice it's happening and like step back from it. Like look at it as if it's far away. It's over there on the other side of the room. And number 2, do something to disarm it, whether that is humor or just something that's not going to actually directly feed it. Like it could just be pretending it's across the room and saying, "Wow, look at that over there. That's ridiculous, isn't it?" Like that's such a silly little thought. It's going to keep screaming over there. Let it keep screaming. Don't shut it out don't try to shut it out because that'll probably make it worse. It's just like pretend like it's just an annoying roommate or something. Just feel like, no, you kind of have to at some point, like, be a little lighthearted about it. So notice it, be lighthearted about it, and then try and do something else. Like, really, like, put your attention towards something else. You might still have those thoughts in the background, and let them be. And this is kind of like a very central part of things like meditation as well. Don't try to like shut out the thoughts. Don't engage with them either. Just let them be and turn your focus to something else that does not bring you as much anxiety. Like a fun hobby if you have any. Or just squeeze a plushie. There you go. Squeeze the plushie. All right, I'm going to get going. My brain, I think I'm gonna relax for the rest of the day because this was an interesting topic. And by interesting topic, I mean slightly stressful, but I always get a little burned out after I stream either way. So have a good day. I like waffles.